Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. This one's not gory. Tonight, we're reviewing Gone in the Night, starring Winona Ryder. So that's a plus. That's a plus. Let me introduce the crew before we get into it, starting with the one and only Jeff Mohr. How you doing, Jeff?
Bitchin'.
Okay.
Oh my God. Perfect. Also joining us this week is Crystal. Living Dead Girl. How you doing, Crystal?
I feel like I should have brought some plants, like hydroponic stuff.
Oh, nice.
That would have been an appropriate thing. I think about it after the fact.
Yeah.
I keep mine in my container out back, my shipping container.
There you go. Yes. That's do we all. All right. We also have award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Doing good.
The mask in the background is scaring me just a little.
Yeah, that looks awesome. Is that on like a Slappy?
It's on a Charlie McCarthy.
Oh no! Did you really?
Yeah, that's spoopy. It looks like it's just floating.
I know it does. When I put it there, I like that because now it's like people like, is somebody staring?
That's really spooky.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I just joined a Spotify cult, but
yeah,
you have to see the movie to get the joke.
Yeah.
They could have went further with that, if you ask me.
That's so funny.
All right. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to review Gone in the Night. We're going to give you our first impressions. That will be spoiler-free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion. We will get into spoilers then. And there are spoilers to be had. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you like them, please hit the like, the subscribe, and share with a friend. It'll do wonders for us, and we'll greatly appreciate it. And of course, leave us some comments. We'd love to read them. And we've been getting some great ones, and we thank you for those.
We should read some.
We should.
Yeah.
Let's
Spotlight on them.
Yeah. Let's dive into the card. All right. Gone in the Night from Vertical. Available in theaters beginning July 15th, 2022. Directed by Eli Horowitz. Written by Matthew Derby and Eli Horowitz. The cast includes Winona Ryder, John Gallagher Jr., Owen Teague, Brianne, and Dermot Mulroney. Yay! It's a good cast. It's a good cast. It's a good cast. Rated R, 90 minutes. Synopsis: when Kath and her boyfriend arrive in a remote cabin in the redwoods, they find a mysterious younger couple already there. Her boyfriend disappears with the young woman, and Kath Kath becomes obsessed with finding an explanation. I don't know where I was going with that. I was like going up in the sense, but hey, I do that sometimes.
English, Doc. English
is my
Words
foreign.
make Gone with the Night.
Gone in the Night.
in the night. Yeah.
All right, Jeff, sir. Let's start with you. What was your first impression of Gone in the Night?
Well, I'm going to be interested in hearing what everybody else says, but I kind of like this.
Okay.
It's not as good as I was looking forward to, but I'm not trying to hold that against it. But I think the cast is great. I like the way the story is told because there's some things that you think are happening and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then there's sort of some flashback pickups to explain what everybody knows. And that happens several times during the movie. You kind of get a persistent, at least I did, had a persistent feeling that something's not quite right, but I can't really tell what it is. And I'm not really sure if the character is getting it. They're not really getting it, I guess, Winona Ryder's character at first. But I think the cast does great. I mean, we've seen Owen Teague in tons of stuff, and he's good in this. I'm not sure if I've seen Brianne too before, but she's really good. I liked her.
I have seen her in something.
She was in a movie reviewed recently.
Yeah.
Oh, she was. Yep. I'll think of the title here in a minute. But at any rate, I enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
Could be better.
Unhuman. Unhuman was the show.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Crystal, you're up next.
Okay, so this is a tough one. I feel like everyone did a great job in their roles. I feel like the story was okay. Kind of boring at points, if I'm being completely honest. But I didn't dislike it. I was still entertained. And I just don't know if that's because of Winona Ryder, because I loved her. Every time she's on screen, I pretty much can't take my eyes off of her. Her character's really sad. Like, her douchey boyfriend, who I'm assuming he's supposed to be, is he supposed to be younger than her or something? Because he doesn't really look that much younger.
10
He's
years
like 10
younger.
something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't look 10 years younger than her. And the truth
Good
is,
for her, right? So.
yeah, and the truth is, for some, the reality is in the show, or in the movie, it seems like he's the one that's trying to hold on to some youth. not her, who's supposed to be older. So, because I was like, dude, you're too old for that. It's just, ugh. He grossed me out. Like, super grossed me out. I did kind of like the way the story interplayed together, and I kind of like the way it flowed. Okay, so it does jump in time, but it's obvious when it jumps in time, and you know exactly where you are. And so thankfully that's not difficult, which I appreciate, because sometimes when they jump, you know, in time, it can be impossible. But the story was just subpar, I suppose. It just didn't do much for me. I was like, oh, okay. It didn't have any real, I didn't feel, I guess you're supposed to feel, you know, what am I trying to say? What's the word I'm trying to say? When you get all nervous and you're like, come on, Christopher.
Awkward.
No.
Tension.
No, tension. Yeah, there was no tension. When I felt like there should have been tension. And then the odd thing about Winona's character is she said she'd been married and she wasn't interested in trying that again. And she seemed really cool about everything, but yet she seemed like she was really sweating this guy who, according, you know, to her, had left her and cheated on her, which I believed it. You know, why not? He's a douche nozzle. And then she was sweating this other dude and chasing him. I just feel like that was kind of weird. I feel like the characters weren't level. It didn't make any sense. It didn't seem like they had one mode. So I feel like it was kind of, I think that my biggest issue was the story, but it was still overall entertaining.
There you go. Christopher G. Mohr, your first impression of Gone in the Night.
Leave Winona Ryder alone. The way her character is treated in this film, she needs more parts that sort of celebrate her and her abilities. And I think this film just finds ways to sort of like, oh, you're old, you're out of touch, you're this or that. I saw no chemistry between her and the Max character played by John Gallagher, who I will tell you, I've never been so pissed about a character, piece of crap character like this character. I mean, he's such a freaking douchebag, you know, and he also just feels like a character than a character, you know, because they just keep making jokes about he has like $1,000 T-shirt and, you know, collector's hat and all this stupid stuff, and he collects vinyl, and it's just mainly like these sort of like, you know, prudish guys. I think they're being hipsters, I guess. And there's even a part where they're at a dinner table and all her friends didn't feel like they would be friends with her because they're just all these prudish things, making up conspiracy stories and stuff. I don't know. I think the story would have worked better if he was actually somebody that you could see her attraction to, because there's no chemistry. I think there was more attraction. It would make more sense why she would even have any kind of sense of like, I need to figure out what happened to this person. I think if I was her, I would just like forgotten. Let's move on.
Him. You know? Yep, exactly.
This film would have worked better as a romantic comedy if it was between her meeting the Dermot Mulroney character, because I think they actually had real chemistry.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
And then when
Right,
you have the
right.
whole twist, it's like, I really don't. I mean, I guess it's kind of cool, and then they had like this sort of, they did this sort of Pulp Fiction thing where they keep going back and forth, to sort of like give more information about this, and I guess that was kind of interesting, but it logistically it didn't make sense, you know, and they tried to tie in the whole cult type thing, which didn't make sense to begin with, and it just felt more like a story plot someone put in there for it to make sense, but it didn't make sense. So anytime that we had this sort of interaction between her and the Dermot Mulroney character, that was interesting to me. I love that. But it didn't really. But the ending, I don't know. It just, and then it gets even more convoluted and weird at the very end. So, I mean, I stuck with it because of Winona Ryder's character, but then, and then there's even parts where she's like doing stuff that doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. This movie's a mess. And it just made me sad for Winona Ryder because she needs better parts, and better types of roles that give her. Because I think they're relegating her to these type of roles.
Yeah.
And as much as I love her in Stranger Things, I feel like everybody's kind of putting this thing where she's like making reactions to weird things that are happening, and and I feel like this is one of these things where I feel like they like, oh, I have this idea for a twist. Let's build a story around it. And this feels like one of those films that did that. But I would have loved to rather have seen this romantic comedy side story that could have happened. But yeah, I don't know. I'm, as much as I like Winona Ryder, I think she deserves better than this. And I think there's parts of it that don't like make a lot of sense, no matter if you try to have all these flashback, you know, things that happen that kind of meet at certain.
I'm not even sure if they were warranted, to be honest with you.
No, I don't know. It wasn't really needed. I kind of wish that we didn't even have that kind of stuff. I wish we just found out at the very end, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a mess of a movie, and I really wish it had been better than what I had expectations for.
Yeah, I agree. The cast I'd like, and as individuals, I'm not sure I like some of the cast in these roles. Like, I don't think John Gallagher is the right person for this role, although I like him, and he brought something to the role. But it just didn't feel like. I think somebody else mentioned it, that you didn't really care. You need to see the draw. You need to have the character needed far more charisma. Need to be one of those people that you, even if you didn't want to be with them, you couldn't not be with them, right? So and it was the opposite of that, and so it felt weird and desperate, and it wasn't very entertaining in that respect. But when Dermot Mulroney's character comes up, it actually, that was when it got interesting, and which is funny because that's the middle act, and usually that's where things fall apart. But in his character, they set up all these mysteries and don't follow through. We'll get into that more, and it's weird. That don't have anything to do with the story. And I think the biggest crime it does is that it steals its own thunder toward the end of the movie. It kind of buries its own lead, right? And that's editing, maybe some storytelling, screenwriting in there. It undermines the impact of the story, in my opinion, because you didn't feel the punch. It pulled it. But at the same time, I was entertained enough, but to not like hate the movie, and I don't hate taking the time to watch the movie. I enjoyed watching it, but it's going to be a difficult one to recommend to anybody at the same time. It's more of a, it's not something that you want to invest your time in. It's more like if you got time to waste, time to burn, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, though.
Yeah. If you got something better to do that. But so let's get in. Okay, so let's get into the Max character, because we really dislike that Max character, right?
Yeah.
And I really think that if they had, I mean, I know it wouldn't work age-wise, but if they had reversed the two characters, it had Dermot. I keep calling him Delmont, but it's Dermot. Dermot Mulroney in that role, you would give a shit, right? But it wouldn't work because of the
but he
character,
wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah. But it needed that chemistry between them to make that feel, and they certainly had it. So I think it probably looked like good casting on paper or in the casting office, but it didn't translate. I liked the two kids.
I did too.
And Brianne was better here than she was in Unhuman. I think we talked about that.
Yes, I agree.
And
she wasn't. I didn't like her all that much actually in Unhuman, so I feel like her game was up tier for sure.
And I think they could have taken her character a little bit further too. There's, and made a little bit more oomph out of her, a little more evil. You know what I mean? Even though she was evil, but a little more evil. I don't know. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let you guys take it from there. But to me, it's all about the casting. I think is a little off too.
Well, but I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Christopher. Oh, I was just going to say. I think the ending. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I think, quite frankly, okay, we're in spoiler. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm going to give a little spoiler. Quite frankly, I think if Winona had been serious in her proposal, I think that would have been a better ending, personally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Because then her character would have, Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed that, though. Even the way they played it out, I still liked it. But that when she did that, that was like, oh, okay. So they had the ideas, right? They had the concept in there. And I think, Christopher, you were saying that it felt like they had that scene and they built the rest of the movie around it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I was kind of hoping that my idea of what was going to happen with one of the characters, wasn't going to happen at the very end. But I kind of figured that there was going to be some kind of twist, and they were going to be a part of that. But then I kind of like that her sort of like her moment where she does that thing. Although at the same time, there's a part where she's trying to like carry like a huge man.
Yeah.
Drugged out man, and I was like, there's no way that she'd be able to get on his feet, and so that just, to me, that logically didn't make a lot of sense. And because as much as I like Winona Ryder, she's a tiny petite woman, and I just don't see her being able to carry some big ass man. But I did kind of like that. I mean, I was like Crystal, I was like, okay, if they went that, I was like, that would be a nice twist on that, because you have this sort of meek girl, and if she went some kind of different way,
she went down the dark path.
Right? Yeah. But I think the thing is, like, it's one thing when you have this kind of twist without mentioning it, but then it gets all kind of messy. There's like a back and forth that happens, like, well, I lied about this and this and this, and then it doesn't really make as much sense by the end of it.
Yeah, it's convoluted.
And it also changes your view on the Dermot Mulroney character, and I almost kind of wish, without giving anything away, I kind of wish one character was not part of that, and if they'd been the other two characters had been more part of it, and he like, oh crap.
That would be interesting.
They've been.
It was a little obvious. Well, I mean, I thought.
Well, it was very obvious. Yeah. I mean, I was already thinking, well, something's a little sketchy. For me, it's like there's something about convenient things that happen in plots, towards like, this is a little too convenient, especially when people disappear for little bits of time and stuff, and it just too convenient for the story to play out. Although I do like, there's a picture thing that is kind of funny how that plays out later.
Yes, that was good. I did like that.
But yeah, I don't know. The logic of it doesn't make a lot of sense by the end, and if anything, it just made me kind of sad, because I feel like there was a chemistry between Dermot Mulroney and Winona Ryder, and almost like there should be another film made with them two in it.
Yes.
And to where they can, like, a romantic comedy with them in it, because I would love to see that. Because those are the moments that made me stick with the film. Is anytime they were interacting, and you could see the chemistry between the two, that's when it hit. The other stuff just annoyed me, And again, the chemistry between her and that guy Max didn't make sense at all. I was like, why are you with this dead Pete asshole? Even when we first meet him, it's like, oh, my hat fell off. It's like, You should just leave them by the curbside and just drive off.
I know. It's like, yeah, when he got out to get the hat, it's like, go, drive.
And I think for me, I think what's a disservice to Winona Ryder is how, as much as I know it's a character, I feel like there's a lot of jokes at her expense that are not deserved. Like, ooh, you look like you're older. You look like you should be this or that. You look like you shouldn't, and she
said a woman like you or something.
Yeah,
a woman like you or something.
Like
I was like, the hell you talking about?
Yeah. And again, this felt like one of those things where you have young people that are like, oh, because you have the young characters that are supposed to be like stereotypical, like, oh, I'm not about relationships, I'm about this, and they're like, oh, you're the old people.
It's gross.
You're supposed to be married because you're old. You're an old woman, so you should be married, and things like that just annoyed me. To no end, and it keeps going. And there's even like, they even say it towards the end when the whole crap hits the fan. they say that they call her old again, and I'm like, stop.
I don't know any 20-year-olds that are like that, so I'm confused.
No, they're like, movie characters. They're not.
Yeah,
that's the problem. They're not real characters. Not that they have to be real characters, but it felt like movie dialogue put in their mouths. Yeah, like the whole Spotify cult stuff when the people are around the table. I mean, things like that just felt like, oh, I'm going to be witty, so I'm going to have these characters say that as opposed to making sense. And there's like, I even wrote down, what was it? Oh, there's the part where they're playing that game and the kid says, say something poetry about me. It's like hair on head and flowers and shit. And then there's the part where it's expensive to look like you don't give a crap,
So
I don't know.
So I do kind of understand the guide. At first, I hated the boyfriend of the younger couple, the boyfriend. But once you find stuff out, I actually understand him a lot more now.
It does inform it better.
Because I was like, okay, I see why he was so angry and kind of bitter and weird and uncomfortable.
But then but at the same time, even by the end, I don't even understand the chemistry between those two people either.
I think that's how it was supposed to be, though, because look at what he decided. I don't think he really. I think she was trouble, and he knew it.
Well, she's also that sort of weird character that ends up being more like Dr. Evil than a regular character. Like, oh, this is my maniacal thing that I'm doing, and it's like,
there's a lot of narcissism going on in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, even Rooney's character, like when he goes into when they first meet at the shop and the guy comes in and brings the plant back and he manipulates the scene. I thought that was really, you scrunched your face, but I liked it when he makes him pay $50 for the scene.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, again, that anytime they're together, those two characters together, I'm all about it. Except maybe towards the end where he just goes off the rails. But yeah, anytime they're two together, and you see that one moment where he's trying to help her out, and I mean those type of moments are the moments that I love the most. But I wish more of the film was like that, because the rest of the film just feels kind of fake in interactions and stuff.
Yeah, feels like movie of the week. Jeff, you've been awful quiet. Say something before.
Yeah. Jeff, come on, Jeff.
Well, so I didn't think. I disagree with most of what you've just been saying.
I thought so.
Yes.
Well,
why is he not saying
it was hard
anything?
I would have had to butt in because you guys were on the waiting. So John Gallagher, the guy, the character of Max, John Gallagher Jr. He's an asshole, and it's hard to see why Winona Ryder's character would get sucked into that. But I think what they're trying to paint, maybe they did it unsuccessfully, was that she was in kind of a quote unquote kind of desperate mode. Not that she needed to be, but we tell ourselves all kinds of stories about put ourselves under pressure, and so maybe she had a little fun with his nuttiness at first, but now it was getting old. And I don't think it's his fault. I mean, I think he's acting the way the part was written. It's probably was overdone in the writing. In terms of her and how she's treated, I'm sure she read the script before she took it. So
Yeah.
I think there's probably reasons why she would take this. It may have to do with women and ageism and how they're treated.
Could
and then
be
in
money.
the end, she like, well, it
That's a
doesn't
great
seem like it
motivator.
would have been a big budget thing, but in the end, she totally takes possession of her, she starts to wonder what the hell's going on. She figures out what's going on, and she takes control of her own destiny, and then it's not getting sucked into. And in the end, I think there's like 2 or 3 different things I could think of what that ending was supposed to mean. It's left a little open in the end. So I don't know. I thought the acting was good. I didn't like the way the Gallagher character was written. They could have toned him down a little just to make him just a little bit more likable, or like you said, a little bit more charismatic or something. But that's about the biggest issue I had with that part. I just think Winona was great. I like the little dialogue exchanges that you guys talked about, like when he tricks the guy and tricks the guy into the plant, because there's people like that. And this whole conspiracy talk thing about the Spotify cult. I mean, God, you've been watching social media the last 5 years. I mean, people are believing shit that nobody in their right mind would ever believe.
Know.
So, I didn't find that all that out
I
there,
thought it was actually kind of funny and satirical, but I if from the outside looking in, this is all presumption. I would say when she read that part where she takes control, that attracted her to that role. It would attract me to that role. That the character, makes that choice at that time. It seems like a big part of it.
She has a nice arc in that she, we feel like she's getting put upon and mistreated by this guy, but maybe she's just using him to a certain point.
And she doesn't, and she's there's codependency going on here, right, between the two of them.
Yeah.
And she's not ready to break free of that, even though she knows she should. And that's why she attaches herself to Dermot, because he's helping her break free from it.
Well, I thought it was interesting when he disappears. She never once thought something might have happened to him.
No, he was convinced.
All it was he left me. That bastard left.
I know. All he had to do was that one guy had to cry in the woods and tell her. And
that's because that says a lot about his character. Because the fact that because I believed it too. Look at how flirty he was with the other girl, well, if the game says it, Stufu, dude,
the whole elbow thing.
You're so annoying. Well, I'm glad he's gross.
Well, I would have been happier if the movie had ended in 20 minutes, where she just went on with her life.
I know.
Because he was
Boy,
such
dodged a bullet there.
Well, I know. That would have been better. I mean, to me, and I think the one thing that really irritated me is I think the whole Spotify cult thing was to sort of inform that scene in the convenience store or whatever. Which that whole interaction didn't make a lot of sense to me.
It was weird.
But,
it was weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up our thoughts here. Jeff, sir, you are first. Your final thoughts, your score, and final scene. Favorite scene, not final scene, but favorite scene.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was. There's things where you wonder when you're going through this, like you're wondering when. So Dermot Mulroney's character was like this like big biotech entrepreneur, and then backed out of this project at the last minute because it was becoming something that wasn't what he wanted. And so he's trying to make everybody believe he just checked out and now doesn't do anything. Whereas really he's got like the biggest biotech, experiment, invention, innovation going on in the background. He just doesn't want anybody to know about it.
But does he?
In the meantime, we're thinking, what's that?
Never mind. Keep going.
And in the meantime, he thinks he's he acts like he's like bumbling and losing his cognitive abilities and stuff. Whenever somebody confronts him, like he's that old guy. Anyway, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the interaction with the characters, the difference between the son and his girlfriend, and I don't know. I just enjoyed it. So I'm going 3.25 on this one.
Okay.
And I like how the ending was left to an interpretation. I wish it had a lot more. I think it could have a lot more tension and a lot more going for it.
Yep.
We talked about some of the issues with the writing. Favorite scene? I'm going to say the ending. Not the, not
Which ending were the
the
in the
very
house ending?
final
Okay.
scene when the movie closes, because
Oh yeah, because she found her
I
little.
come up with like 2 or 3 different things of what's going on. Some
Yep.
of them, anyway.
Yep.
I like that.
I liked it too. Crystal, your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scene.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think we're all that far off from Jeff, or I'm at least not all that far off from Jeff, because I was going to give this a 3. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I mean, I think it's shot well. I think it's acted well. I think the sound quality is good. I think it's, if you can get all that stuff right, you're going to get a 2.5 at least. And I do think it was creative. I think it could have just been better. And I think there was potential, and all of the things that these people were working with could have really made something better. But I was teetering between a 2.75 and a 3, so it's on the lower side of that, just so you know. So my favorite scene is, Winona Ryder goes and finds Greta. Is that her name, or who's Greta?
That sounds
And
right,
then when she drops her phone, you see this photo of her and Max or whatever. But I like when you find out when that photo was taken.
You stole my scene. Oh my god.
I was dying. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. Because, you kind of find out along the way what's happening. And I laughed. Let's just say that. So, there you go.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Cool.
Yep. Put Max in a barrel and we'll all love it. All right. Christopher G. Mohr, your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scene.
Is that like a barrel of monkeys?
Barrel of Maxes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a competently shot film. It has some interesting elements, and I think the real star of the film is any of the interactions between Winona Ryder and Dermot Mulroney. They just have this great chemistry, and even their dialogue scenes seem natural. In those moments, I was involved and intrigued. Well, they're great actors in general. I mean, Dermot Mulroney is like one of my favorite romantic comedies ever made, My Best Friend's Wedding. And so I've watched that film 100 times. So there's moments where he says lines of like, that's the same line from My Best Friend's Wedding. And I kind of was like, oh, they need to do a sequel of that with him in it. But I love Winona Ryder, and I think if anything, I keep hearing these rumors where she's going to be in a Beetlejuice 2 or something. And so I hope that's the case.
That'd be awesome.
Because I really love to see her in different types of roles that bring back that sort of like, because there's a part where she walks into that cabin and he's like, oh, you're like all this old stuff, this old dead stuff. And I was like,
I know.
It reminds me of her character in the Beetlejuice. Like, I love the undead. But I think the film, as much as it has those elements that are supposed to tie into how people look at people, I feel like it's a little bit of a disservice to her as a person, as a character, or just older characters in general. I think there's a lot of stuff that feels more forced story-wise and script-wise than it should be. And also, it has one of the big douchebag characters ever that I really don't understand why her character would be that person. If anything, it's like, hey, I would date you, Winona Ryder character.
Yeah.
But so overall, and I think you have the twist element. I think the at first the sort of like the back and forth between flashbacks and flash forwards were annoying, but then it informs stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of understand that. But then I think the ending is a really sort of a mess, hot mess of ideas that don't really work and logistically doesn't make a lot of sense. But also, I do agree that I kind of like her character sort of, because her character is very meek and always like, oh, it's okay, and I put up with you making fun of me, blah blah, and then she's like cursing at him and doing things, and I just wanted her by the end be like Heather's and like smoking a cigarette and punching people in the face.
Yes.
So I kind of wish there would have been even more of that. So I'll probably give it a similar 3. I mean, I think there's parts of it that work, but there's a lot of parts that don't work, and a lot of the parts just made me mad to where I just wanted to punch my TV screen if that Max character is like. And in fact, my favorite scene is when she burns that freaking hat, because her friend's like, oh, I ate octopus, and I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I was like, what are these people aren't real people. These are movie characters. But then when she sees that hat and she burns it, I was like, bravo, Winona Ryder, just burn all his crap. And also, but then does it well. Anyway, I'm not getting into it. But yeah, I think that's my favorite scene. I think there's parts that are good. If anything, it just I want better parts for Winona Ryder.
Yes.
Word.
Yes, I do too. This film, it's an entertaining watch, but I don't know about it. I think it kind of fights itself telling its own story. You know, it takes the wind out of its own. I said it earlier. You know, the reveal is undermined by the construct of how they're telling the story, and it lost the impact. It lost the sense of betrayal, the sense of circumstance, and what she is, the whole thing. I don't know, it just kind of left me feeling unsatisfied, and that's not a good feeling in a movie. I do think Winona Ryder is actually really good, and like you said, the chemistry between her and Dermot Mulroney is really good. And I did enjoy that quite a bit. And I did enjoy the concept of everything, of the twist and what they were doing, although I felt like they could have. It was so strange and weird. I don't think they took it far enough, right? It was like, oh, well, this is going to be off, strange. Like, no, it's kind of bland. You need to punch that up. You need to put an exclamation point at the end of that. That's a good concept, but you didn't take it far enough. So it kind of felt, like I didn't quite get the bang out of the buck, if you will. Wow, that's terrible. But anyway, you get what I'm after. So I'm giving it a 2.75. I didn't better than average, but I didn't quite like it as much as you guys. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm going to shut up. My favorite scene, I'm surprised you guys left it for me, right? You didn't take it. Is when Winona Ryder's character of Kath, I guess, however they say her name, takes a very unexpected stance in the confrontation, and that took me more by surprise than anything else in the movie. Right, even the twist, even the stupid twist afterwards, which I really dislike. We didn't talk about the piece of paper that said something about one of our characters.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's literally dumb. Why'd you do that? You didn't need that.
Yeah.
It didn't help.
No.
It didn't help.
Needed.
It would have been the same without it, and would have liked it better. So boo. But anyway, when she did that, I was kind of like, oh wow, this is let's go. And I didn't mind where they took it, although I really wanted that to keep going. I think somebody else said that as well.
Yeah.
But in the end, I think that's why this movie is made, to get to that scene.
To get to that scene?
Yeah, to get to that scene.
I agree. I'd almost like, I was like Crystal. I was like, if this had like gone full hog into that, I would have been okay with
would have been
that.
more fun.
Because it would be such a distinct way of going in the other direction, And I like you, Doc. I was wanting it to go full hog in the whole reveal stuff, like a whole Buffalo Bill parasite type. Like I thought that was gonna find some layer or something.
Oh, I wanted something a lot more
I was
visually
like,
creative. I thought it was
yeah, just some trailer.
That'd been fun.
I mean, okay,
yeah.
so I couldn't, the barrel thing, I just want to go back to that because when they pulled the lid off the barrel and John Gallagher's in there, and then they take the snapshot, that was the greatest thing. That was so
That was
anyway,
a riot.
I thought that was.
It's really dangerous to have him in that barrel, though, because he could have died. That would have been bad. I'm just saying. Like,
Wow, this is movie logic, not real
Yeah.
life logic.
that's true.
There's probably holes.
Truth. Yeah, probably.
Well, we would hope so, right? Don't worry about the the gook in the bottom and the fact that you can't get out.
Ew. Goopy. Ew.
Goofy. All right, well, there you go. I didn't expect to talk 40 minutes on this movie. You guys, thank you for joining me
wow.
and
Yeah.
to review Gone in the Night.
You're welcome.
In theaters
Yeah.
On the 15th. So check it out and let us know what you think down below. Jeff, Christopher, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having
Leave
us.
Winona Ryder alone.
Yes.
All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Gruesome Magazine.